Georgia Tech has mastered the transfer portal, and this season's record is evidence.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to be talking about all the things that are going on with the commitments, decommitments, in particular Penn State. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. There's some schools that are benefiting, even Oklahoma going back east to steal one of the recruits that was committed to Penn State. We're also going to start with this, and it's a great story. Georgia Tech, they hadn't been over the 9-win mark since 2014 when they won 11 games, but it looks like they've got a great chance to win 10 games or more this year. Brent Key and his staff rebuilt his alma mater, and they've done so the right way, being strategic with the transfer portal. Let me explain this. If you take nothing else from this, it shows how hard the portal is, but Georgia Tech has made some smart moves because A, they let a bunch of guys walk. If they wanted too much money or if they didn't fit the culture, they let them go. That's first thing. You got to get the wrong people off the bus. Then they got the right people on the bus. Haynes King's in his third year at the program. He wanted to help commit himself to the Georgia Tech program, and he's basically a human battering ram on third and fourth down and short. But he's a better passer than people think too, and he's the leader. He embodies what the Georgia Tech program is about. And here's a great example as well. Somebody you may not know much about, Malachi Carney. He's played 449 snaps this year at right tackle. He's their starter. He was at South Alabama last year. Not exactly the mecca of college football. Just a big guy that can move people out of the way, play Georgia Tech style of football. Give him props. He's done a really good job. And to that end, he started every game. Nobody really knows when you take a kid out of that level. I mean, it's G5 or G6, if you will. But Georgia Tech took a chance on him because they knew that he would fit. He's 6'4", 335 pounds, and they need road graders at Georgia Tech. They do. He's done a great job with it. Next, this is another example, a kid that played at Mercer. It's one thing to be at South Alabama. This kid played at Mercer. Braden Manley, he's a defensive end. He's played 248 snaps already in 7 games. 14 tackles, 1 sack. You said, Brian, that's not that great. He's a very good role player. He's not a guy that's dominant, but he gives them a lot of reps. He's a key contributor to them, and he's a guy that helps move the pile forward. Now, there are plenty of other guys. Don't get me wrong. Jamal Haynes and a whole bunch of other players are very good for them. And by and large, Georgia Tech has avoided the transfer portal because it's the smart thing to do. They have recruited players that fit their profile, redshirted when they could, let kids come through the program, and incrementally just move their way up the ladder. It is old school. And then they've used the portal to plug holes here and there. Is it perfect? No. Here are a few stats for them, but it shows you why they can win. Again, this is an O-line driven program, a powerful, physical, downhill program, and they want to be that way against everybody they play. Rushing, statistically, out of 136 teams, that Ramblin' Wreck are 12th in the nation. 229.8 yards a game. That's power football. Haynes King is the accent, but they've got multiple running backs that are good. They use all kinds of jet sweeps, motions, to make it incredibly confusing, even though you basically know what's coming. You just don't know which direction. It is a hyperbolic view of the triple option in the spread, mixed in with some pretty good passing, well, as I'll show here in just a second. And just to show how good they are as a rushing football team, third downs, they're 50% this year, 16th in the nation, 47 out of 94. Running plays, 20 or more yards, Georgia Tech 6th in the nation. You know they're going to run the ball. They're finding the right players. How do I know that? They have 19 runs of 20 or more yards. 30 or more yards, they have 8. That is 9th in the nation. 20-plus passing plays. This is where I thought they would really drop off. I did. I was wrong. They draw people in, then they throw it over their head, and they also have guys breaking tackles and making plays. 26th in the nation with 31 passes of 21 or more. That's pretty good, or 20 or more. 30-yard passing plays or more. 26th in the nation again. They've got 14. For a team that's known as downhill, that's pretty impressive. They execute. Now, is Georgia Tech as NIL rich as some of these other schools? Probably not. Probably not. If you look at their defensive numbers, they're not that great. They're okay. They're like 88th or something like that in run defense, 61st in pass defense. They're okay. But they help manage the game with their run defense. They really try to make big plays when they can. They win close games because they have seniors, juniors, fifth-year seniors. They win with their system, and they master the portal without mastering it by throwing a ton of money at it. A lot of schools could really use Georgia Tech as an example of how it looks and why it can work. It's a pretty good study, and to be honest with you, they've taken kids out of the P4. They take a kid out of Mercer, like I just talked about, a defensive lineman out of Mercer that's been a consistent player, and an offensive tackle that started every game out of South Alabama. Brent Key and his staff deserve a lot of credit. Unfortunately for him, I don't think Buster Faulkner will be around much longer. He'll probably be a head coach somewhere soon or go to the NFL as the OC, but they've mastered what they have with the talent they have. Good for them, man. It's really awesome. When we come back, we're going to talk about the latest commitments, and we're also going to talk about the latest decommitments here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, with the NBA being back, there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live stats into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We are also brought to you by our friends over at GameTime. College football is rocking right now. It really couldn't be much more exciting with all the upsets, all the coaching carousel stuff. It's crazy. And of course, the games themselves, the tailgates, the rivalries, and everything that's going on, the energy in the stands, nothing quite like being at a college football game. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, and prices jumping out at you at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, where it's a lot easier, and it's the app that gives the advantage back to the fan, you. For FanDuel, for Game Time, you have the option to do a lot of different things. But the number one thing here is you can get in and out quick. Tap it, find your team, and then just click on a seat. You can see your seat view right there. It's not hard at all. It's very straightforward. And to be honest, you can be in and out in 5 minutes with your purchase done and not having to worry about any tricky prices or anything. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for coming in and checking out these live shows. We're going to be doing them every day at noon Eastern time, talking about the latest commitments and everything. So let's get started. First off, Penn State over the last few days has taken more hits, 3 to be exact. Darrell Carey, safety out of DeMatha, one of the most famous programs in the country in Washington, D.C., has decommitted. Jasir Rogers out of Delaware, one of the most electric receivers. That kid is decommitted as well. He's from Delaware, and he's a SWAT that Penn State doesn't normally get. He's flipped his commitment to Oklahoma. And then Jazeel Hart, a guy that could have played receiver or corner or safety. He's a kid out of Virginia. He has flipped his commitment from Penn State to North Carolina. We also have Jaden Bauer, the safety out of Manchester High School in Virginia. He's made his commitment to West Virginia. We also have Josiah Jefferson out of Southwestern College on the edge of L.A. He's a JUCO kid. USC gets a really good pickup here. 6'5", 230 pounds. He was committed to Utah. He flips to the Trojans. We also have Kervin Johnson from Tioga, Louisiana. He's going to LSU. This is one of those famous situations. LSU gets a small town kid that wanted the LSU offer. They finally offered him 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver. Good for them. Good for Mr. Kervin Johnson. Take advantage, young man. Get a chance to go play for the LSU Tigers. So that's a big deal. Thank you once again for checking out the Portal Podcast. I'm going to do some picks later this week, talk about some of the best programs in the country, kind of battling to see who gets in for the playoffs. I think there's going to be a few surprises. We'll be talking to you soon, right here on the Portal Podcast.